It was strange living in the village because you go out and there was no one around. It was a bit like a ghost town. You expected to see the tumbleweed flowing around the village.
There was a lot of sort of general panic amongst people as to what was going on. And then we had this amazing sort of coming together of residents in a way that we haven't really seen before.
Something that I've always believed in, you know, bearing each other's burdens. It's a village that, in my opinion, having grown up here, you know, I think it's something that we've done particularly well over the years. This was an extension of that.
When we first started looking at lockdown, I don't think we had any idea of how long it was going to last, and no real conception of what might be needed. I think we knew that there was going to be help needed, but no real view on what that might look like or how long for. I think personally, I was expecting lockdown to be 2 weeks long, and I was probably wrong.
Some people were just spontaneously putting letters through their neighbours' letterboxes and saying, you know, if you need any shopping, let's do it. And we just felt it needed to be coordinated.
The engine room really brought together members of the parish council, members of the community, to try and coordinate the disparate efforts that were going on within the village and bring them together so that people knew where to go for help. We divided the village up into 14 areas, and we appointed coordinators within each of those areas, and then we set up a system for getting the information on what was needed and sending that out to coordinators so they could allocate volunteers from their patches.
We'd pick up people's prescriptions, odd bits of shopping, and then I had a personal arrangement with a lady I knew who was over 70 and vulnerable, so she was isolating the whole time. I'd do her shopping for her once a week and we'd have a little chat.
Good morning, Gas Monster, how may I help you? I had a team of about 20 volunteers which covered a patch of 4 streets to handle requests for prescription collecting, shopping and that sort of thing.
Within a week of opening up the website to register volunteers, we had over 250 people signed up to help within the village. So that meant that we were able to give our coordinators a really good, robust team of volunteers for each of the patches. So yeah, it was really heartwarming to see that so many people were keen to help their neighbours, or, you know, not even just their neighbours, but the village as a whole. So yes, it was really nice to see that.
But the leaflet that was put out, first of all, just had our, if you need help, contact Neil or Eileen, and here's their phone numbers and here are their email addresses. So they just rang us. Then we had a wonderful WhatsApp system where we would pass those requests on to Gemma and Claire and say, Mr. and Mrs. so-and-so, address, telephone number, and then we'd say what they wanted, shopping or prescriptions collecting, or whether they just wanted someone to talk to. And then that would all go in this WhatsApp, and then it would get passed to the central spreadsheet and the central organisation, then passed on to coordinators, then on to volunteers.
To be honest, actually, I don't think we'd have survived without them. And it's so easy. I mean, I found that just a text to the councillor, Eileen Wilson, and an immediate response from her was incredible. I thought it was going to be a long process. You know, I would ask for my prescription and it would be a week later it arrived. It didn't. It arrived that afternoon or the next day. And so, yes, it's been fantastic, the response.
I think the first things that we recognised that we were going to need some money for was going to be some emergency food boxes, particularly for those people who might normally have free school meals, but also some of the older, more vulnerable people as well. And we started to use some of that funding that we got from the County Council to pay for food boxes from Morrison's or from the co-op.
Come on. But it was just not practical to take cash off elderly, vulnerable residents to go shopping or take their credit cards. That just wasn't going to work. So we needed to find a system of how to pay for shopping. And fortunately, one of the people in the village who works for the community association came up with the idea of reconfiguring the entry system for the fun run into a sort of kitty system where you could essentially put £10 or £20 in the kitty, which then our volunteers could use that money to go and shop at the local co-op or whatever.
Hi, I'm fine, how are you? I was coming through the village one day and there was just a man sitting here on his own, just literally staring into space. So I came over and I stopped and I had a bit of a chat with him and I said, you know, are you okay? And he was like, yeah. He says, I just think this whole COVID thing is really sad because nobody talks to me anymore. So I went back to the group and I just said, I think we need to do something about that. I think people feel that because of COVID that they now can't even say hello and smile and talk to people. And for those people that really rely on that day in, day out, it's really, really affecting them. So we just came up with this idea of just saying, actually, if you want to sit here and somebody wants to come along and have a chat to you, and it continues to get used. So people do sit here, they talk. There are times certainly that I've seen people sitting here on their own, and I know of other people that now come up and use it and come and sit and talk to those people.
One of the main things that I was involved with was this newsletter. So normally there'd be a village newsletter going out every couple of months. That ceased during the lockdown period, but we thought there was so much information that we needed to get out to a wide range of people, a lot of people that wouldn't have seen it on social media, etc. So we compiled a lot of information, whether it was sort of medical bits and pieces, whether it was walks that people might like, because obviously everybody, when they could, was getting outside. There was a lot more people sort of walking their dogs. Good news stuff like the Cottenham rock snake that was being produced, but it was quite a balanced, and it was we got it out within about 2-3 weeks.
The sense of community spirit that I think developed during lockdown, with people reaching out to their neighbours and helping with the shopping project and picking up prescriptions and stuff. I just feel that Cottenham's a very different place to live in as a result of, you know, what we did in the village.
It was a really difficult time for just getting out of bed every day and thinking, what is the point of this? I mean, my boys were at home doing the whole homeschooling and stuff, and some days you think, you know, there's no point. You don't need to get up today and do anything specifically. But then if you've got, you know, there's someone who needs you around the corner, or you know there are nurses out there who need these scrubs. It just gave you a bit of momentum, and because everybody was interested and everyone was involved, you were accountable and you were in this together, and it just changed. Well, it changed the way I felt about lockdown. It made it much more productive. It wasn't just about surviving, it was about thriving and, you know, doing something useful, making this into something really positive.
Sort of the modern narrative is that people are a little bit self-obsessed, but you know, I think we proved people wrong as a village and as a community, and that was nice to be a part of.
So many of our volunteers have said that they're really keen to keep up working alongside their neighbours like this moving forwards, and I know that a number of friendships have formed between people and neighbours they hadn't met before lockdown.
Well, it's always been a strong community in Cottenham, but the great thing about what happened here was the translation of that sort of community spirit into practical assistance, and that was just brilliant. And I'm very proud of this village, very proud of what the people who live in this village achieved, and it just was, you know, great to be part of it.
I've never known anything like it, and at my age, obviously as a child, I was young enough to go through the war, but we knew what was happening. It's taken, from people like ourselves, part of our life away that we can never get back. And we haven't seen members of our family. So, yeah, to have people locally then to step up and help, marvellous.